He thought he was just cleaning a CEO's office. By sunrise, he'd be labeled a predator, a thief, a man too dangerous to mop her floors. Rafael Kincaid is 38 years old. He has a cracked phone screen, a calendar full of parent-teacher meetings, and $68,400 in medical debt that arrives in his mailbox like clockwork every third Thursday. He has 2 jobs, 1 daughter, 0 margin for error. Tonight he starts the shift the way he always does, quietly. The elevator smells like marble and money. Rafael rolls the cart in, checks the manifest, checks the time. 11:47 p.m. He glances at his left wrist. The stopped watch, silver-banded, scratched at the crown. He doesn't check it for the time. He checks it like a man touches a scar, a habit, a prayer. Come back gentle. The words are engraved inside the case. His wife put them there 3 weeks before she died. He rubs his thumb across the crystal, and the world steadies. The building is the kind of place Rafael notices for reasons most people can't explain. He clocks the sprinkler pressure gauge in the east corridor the way a doctor clocks a patient's breathing. Wrong rhythm, wrong pressure. The kind of thing that looks fine until it isn't. He doesn't say anything. He never says anything. That's not his job anymore. His job is the floor. Back home, in the 6 a.m. quiet before Mina wakes, Rafael counts the cash envelope on the kitchen table. Rent is 2 months behind. Mina's inhaler copay is due tomorrow, $47 he does not have. He has $44 and a full tank of gas, and exactly enough frozen waffles to get her through the week without knowing they're stretching. She's 7. She builds bridges from craft sticks and domino tiles and rubber bands, structures that sprawl across the kitchen floor like tiny cities, and she tests them by pressing her small finger on the center span and counting how long before they bow. She hasn't lost one yet. Rafael stacks the bills, counts again. Same answer. He checks her backpack. Free lunch card, there. Inhaler, half empty. Permission slip, signed. He smooths the fold in her drawing, a helicopter over a city, and slides it back into the zipper pocket. His phone buzzes. Priority executive ticket, Suite 47C. Spill, immediate response required. No additional detail. He stares at it. No description, no photo, no name of the requester. He mutters it before he even means to. An old habit, a thing his crew chief used to say that he'd somehow made his own. Clean doesn't mean safe. The elevator opens on the 47th floor. The suite door is unlocked, and the CEO of Calder Urban Development is on the couch, eyes closed, one arm draped over the armrest like she fell asleep mid-sentence. Rafael stops. Every trained instinct fires at once. Exits, sightlines, cameras. He counts 2 visible lenses. One blinks, the other is dark. He does not step fully into the room. He scans the floor. Marble. Dry. No spill anywhere. No upended glass. No stain. Nothing. His jaw tightens. He is careful. He has always been careful. It is the only currency he has never run out of. The woman on the couch, dark blazer, pearl earrings, hair pulled up at the base of her neck, has not moved. Her purse sits open on the cushion beside her. A confidential folder fans half open across the desk, yellow tabs bright under the recessed lights. Her laptop screen glows, document visible, like a stage dressed for someone to stumble through. Rafael recognizes a setup when he sees one. He does not touch anything. He locates the vent above the couch. There's a draft, subtle, the kind that would pull cool air across someone sleeping. He reaches for the throw blanket draped on the far chair armrest. He nudges it, 2 feet, without touching her, without crossing the couch's perimeter, until it sits close enough that she could reach it if she woke cold. Then he backs toward the door. "You passed," Her voice is level, like she's reading from a ledger. He stops walking. His hand is still on the doorframe. The woman opens her eyes, dark, steady, measuring him the way a surgeon looks at a chart. Not unkindly, but without softness. She sits up with the posture of someone who has not actually slept in days. "I passed what?" Rafael says.
She doesn't rush.
"We met last Thursday. Fundraiser. No titles, no company names. You were paired with me." He stares. He remembers the blind date, a charity event his co-worker pushed him into, a woman who laughed at the wrong moment during his story about Mina's domino bridge collapsing and somehow made it funny again, who asked him direct questions and didn't flinch when he mentioned the hospital debt. He had not expected to think about her again. He had thought about her every day since. "You knew who I was," he says. "I knew who you were by the end of the night." She stands. "I needed to know who you were when no one was watching." Something hot moves through his chest. Not flattery, not warmth, the opposite. "Don't pay me," he says before she can speak. She'd been reaching toward her purse. "Don't pay me for not being a bad man." She lowers her hand. The silence is the kind that weighs something. Then she says, quieter now, the CEO voice sanded down to something almost raw. "Someone inside my company is setting traps, moving money, using access logs to frame people. Tonight I needed to know if you'd take the bait." The camera above the desk blinks again. Wrong interval, wrong rhythm. Sabine Calder does her research at 4 a.m. because that's when she trusts herself most. Widower, daughter, 7, asthma, contractor company, 3rd tier. Medical debt tied to a hospitalization 2 years ago, long, expensive, catastrophic. Rental address in Pilsen. Prior employment record, partially scrubbed, redacted through a third-party data broker, which is either nothing or everything. She calls in a favor and gets a name through the gap in the records. Rafael Kincaid, former critical care flight medic, 6 years, 2 commendations. Retired, word used loosely, after his wife died and he stopped being able to get back in the helicopter. She sits with that for a while. By 7 a.m., she has drafted an arrangement. She calls it an executive night integrity monitor role. It pays 3 times his current rate. It includes full health coverage, effective immediately, no waiting period, Mina included. She lays out the rules in person, standing because sitting feels too casual for what she is asking. No personal contact outside duties. No disclosure of the blind date. No entering her office without a written, system-logged ticket. If anyone asks, he is temporary facilities oversight. Not a lie, not a full truth. Rafael listens without moving. He looks at the document, then he looks at her. So. The corner of his mouth shifts, dry, almost amused. "Am I supposed to wake you if you fall asleep again?" Sabina's answer doesn't blink. "If I do, the test is over." He looks back at the document, turns to the coverage page. "Mina's coverage starts today," he says, not a question. "Signed and filed before you walked in." He picks up the pen. He signs. Sabine feels a complicated thing happen in her chest, which she identifies and immediately files away. "One more thing," she says. "Security reports to the board, not to me. If Kellen Vane speaks to you, document it." Rafael nods, already moving toward the door, and then stops. Looks back at his phone, at the maintenance log. A second ticket was generated last night for the same suite, logged at 11:31 p.m., before his, from an account that doesn't correspond to any active employee. He shows her the screen. Sabine's expression doesn't change, but her hands go still. Down the hall, on the security monitor, Kellen Vane watches the camera feed showing Rafael leave the executive floor. He is the head of security. He is the board's man. He has good teeth and a handshake that lasts 1 second too long. He smiles. He has just found his scapegoat. Sabine tests him with the small things first. An access card, lost, left on the cleaning cart. Rafael brings it to the front desk without being asked. An envelope, thick, unsealed, full of cash, left on a hallway chair outside a meeting room. Rafael photographs it, logs it, delivers it to security with a written note, time-stamped to the second. She watches the logs. She cannot buy his decency. It unsettles her in a way she cannot categorize, which means she files it with the other things she cannot categorize and moves on. On Wednesday, Kellen Vane finds Rafael in the east stairwell. "Hey." Easy voice, friendly. The kind of friendly that means nothing good. "Just wanted to say, man, you know this is temporary, right? Whatever arrangement she made. You're here to mop, not to matter." Rafael looks at him. He doesn't say anything. He moves his cart 3 inches to the left and keeps working. Kellen watches him for another moment, then leaves, and does not know that Sabine was standing at the far end of the corridor, facing away, and heard every word. She says nothing, not yet. That afternoon, Sabine walks out of an audit pre-meeting with her hands shaking so slightly that most people would not notice. Rafael notices because he notices everything wrong. He doesn't say anything. He gets a glass of water, sets it on the table near her right hand. Not in front of her, not handed to her, just available. And then says, quietly, "Breathe from the bottom, slower than you think you need." She breathes. The shaking stops. He steps out of the room before she can say thank you, which is the only thing that would have made it worse. 30 seconds later, she's back in the room, armor resealed, the CEO again. No one saw. No one knows. But that night, Rafael finds something that changes the temperature of everything. Behind a service access panel on the 46th floor, bolted, barely disturbed, a duplicate keycard. No employee number, no name, assigned to nothing. He photographs it, logs it, sends it to Sabine at 2:17 a.m. Her reply comes back in 4 minutes. "Don't tell anyone else." The school calls at 2:48 p.m. Mina, asthma flare, needs pickup now. Rafael is standing in the middle of the 47th floor service corridor, mid-shift, new role barely 2 weeks old, and the math is simple and terrible. Leave and lose this, stay and... No. There is no and. He cannot leave his daughter struggling to breathe in a school nurse's office. He is already reaching for his badge to clock out when Sabine appears at the corridor's end. He doesn't know how she knew. He finds out later she monitored his work phone for emergencies because she thought she was being practical. "Go," she says. "I'll cover the floor check." She drives him herself, no car service. A grey sedan, no logos, no tinted windows. The kind of car that belongs to a person instead of a position. Rafael sits in the passenger seat and doesn't speak for 4 blocks because he doesn't know what to say to someone who just dismantled his expectations. The school nurse has Mina sitting upright, inhaler already used, color returning. When Mina sees her father, she goes very still, the way she does before she allows herself to feel relief, like she's checking the bridge before she puts her weight on it. Then she sees Sabine. "Who are you?" Mina asks, directly, no preamble. "Sabine," Sabine says. Mina considers this. "Are you the lady who made my dad sad last week?" The room goes quiet. Sabine goes very still. Rafael crouches down to Mina's level and adjusts her jacket, buying himself 3 seconds. Later in the parking lot, Mina has her craft project, a bridge made of sticks and string, and she is showing Sabine a knot she can't finish. Sabine tries it. The knot slips. She tries again. Her fingers are precise in boardrooms and useless here. She makes a frustrated sound that is almost human. Rafael kneels beside Mina and guides her hands. Not Sabine's, Mina's, through the motion. Sabine watches his hands, the way they move. Careful, unhurried. Mina glances up at Sabine with the clear-eyed evaluation of a child who has learned to assess adults for structural integrity. "Daddy says you're brilliant," she says, "but you don't know how to sit down without looking like you're about to fire the chair." Sabine laughs, a real one, sudden, uncontrolled, and then her face does something complicated. She looks away. At the far edge of the parking lot, a phone camera lifts and records. Kellen Vane lowers it, smiles. That night, Rafael's badge stops working mid-shift. He is locked out of the building at 1:14 a.m., cart in the hallway, a floor half done. The lobby event is a late investor walkthrough. Colder urban development, potential stakeholders, the kind of handshake hour that happens after dinner, when guards are down and impressions are still forming. Rafael is there because his access was restored and he has a floor to finish. Mina is there because tonight Rafael has no childcare, and Sabine said, quietly, that it was fine. Mina sits in a service alcove with her bridge project and a juice box, unbothered. Kellen Vane finds Rafael in the lobby at 9:43 p.m. He does it in front of people. He does it deliberately. "Hey, sir." The word sir is a blade dressed as courtesy. "Can you explain why a contractor is hovering near the VIP reception area?" Rafael stops the cart, steady. "I'm on my scheduled floor." "Your scheduled floor?" Kellen looks at the executives, at the investors, playing a small theatre with an audience that doesn't know they're seated. In a uniform, near confidential client materials. You understand how that looks? The room is listening. Rafael says nothing. That particular silence is a form of discipline that takes years to build. Mina walks out of the service alcove. She stands next to her father and looks at Kellen Vane with 7-year-old clarity. "My dad isn't just anything," she says. Her voice is steady, the way a bridge is steady when you've tested every joint. He knows where the cameras don't look. He knows when people are lying because their voices shake. The room holds its breath. One investor looks at the floor. 2 executives find something very interesting on their phones. Kellen smiles the way people smile when they've decided to wait. "That's sweet," he says. Sabine steps out from behind the reception pillar. "If you address my staff that way again," she says, "you'll be explaining yourself to legal before the elevator reaches ground floor." It lands. People feel it land. The board chair calls her before she gets back to her office. "You're becoming emotional," he says. That night, Rafael finds the incident report already filed in the building system, time-stamped for tomorrow. Unapproved proximity event, CEO plus contractor. It is dated 12 hours in the future. Someone wrote it before it happened. The storm knocks power to the upper floors at 11:22 p.m. on a Thursday. Backup systems hold the emergency lighting, white, cold, clinical, and the 47th floor goes quiet in a way that feels intentional. Rafael is checking the service corridor near the executive suite when Sabine appears at the far end, coming from the stairs. The elevator is locked to backup. They are alone in a corridor that is not romantic. It is concrete and conduit and the hum of failing HVAC. It is exactly the kind of place that strips people down to what they actually are. "You don't have to be here," Rafael says. "Neither do you." She leans against the wall. The armor is still there, but it has seams tonight. He can see where it fits wrong. "You could walk. The arrangement, the role, any of it." "So could you." She makes a sound, not quite a laugh. "My father built this company. The board treated it like something they inherited from him instead of from me." She looks at the ceiling. "He taught me that softness gets audited, that if you let people see you care, they price it in." Rafael is quiet. Then, my wife died in a hospital where I had worked for 6 years, where I knew the attending. I knew the corridor. I knew the protocols. I knew everything. His voice stays level because he has practiced this. And I still couldn't. He stops, starts again. My guilt isn't that I left. It's that I promised to keep her safe. And I knew how. And it didn't matter. Sabine looks at him. Why do you keep being decent? She says, and it comes out almost angry, like decency is a provocation she can't solve, when it costs you every single time. Rafael turns to look at her directly. Because Mina is watching, he says, even when she's not in the room. Sabine's shoulders drop a fraction. She presses her forehead against the concrete wall. One tremor, small, fast, the kind that only escapes when someone has been holding it for a very long time. Rafael places his palm on the metal conduit rail beside him, not on her, not toward her, just present, available, a handhold if she needs one. She breathes. He watches the corridor, steps behind them, too fast, too certain for someone responding to a general emergency call. Kellen Vane appears with 2 security officers and a flashlight. Just doing welfare checks, he says. His eyes take in the scene like a photograph. From Rafael's coat pocket, a small sound. Mina's voice, tiny through the phone speaker. Then a wheeze. Then silence. Rafael moves before Kellen finishes his sentence. The phone is at his ear. Mina, talk to me. Another wheeze. Daddy, the inhaler? I already used it and it's... He's already running. Sabine is behind him. She has the car keys before he asks. The babysitter's apartment is 11 minutes away. Rafael counts them. When they get there, Mina is sitting upright on the couch. Correct position. Someone at least knew that much. But her shoulders are pulled up high, and her breathing is a staccato that Rafael recognizes the way a musician recognizes a chord played wrong. He is a different person in this room. Clear commands. No excess motion. He checks her airway angle, tilts her chin 2 degrees, repositions her arms on her knees, checks the inhaler, empty, gets the spacer from the bag, has the babysitter's backup inhaler in his hand before anyone knew he'd found it. He times her breaths, counting quietly, watching her chest wall. Sabine stands in the doorway and watches a janitor perform triage with the calm of someone who has done this at altitude, at speed, in the dark. The babysitter, a 23-year-old named Josie, who has known Rafael for 2 years, looks at Sabine and says without thinking, "He used to do this in helicopters." Mina's eyes are still fixed on her father, but she hears. She always hears. "My dad saved people in the sky," she tells Sabine matter-of-factly, between controlled breaths, "before he started making buildings clean." Sabine looks at his hands, the stopped watch on his wrist, the way he is kneeling, not collapsed, not urgent, just precise. Everything she has watched him do for 3 weeks recontextualizes in 30 seconds. He isn't timid. He isn't small. He chose invisibility. Mina's breathing steadies. Rafael stays on the floor beside her until her shoulders drop, until she yawns. In the car, Sabine says, "I'm ordering an independent audit of the security logs." "I know. I think we can prove the spoofed tickets, the blind spot near the office, the key card." "I know." She looks at him. "We might actually win this." Rafael says nothing. He is looking at his phone. An unknown number, message received while they were inside. "You're the fall guy. Take the payout or lose your kid." He shows her the screen. She goes very still. He pockets the phone. "Where does Kellen Vane drink coffee?" The coffee shop is a 12-minute walk from the tower. Neutral ground, which means it was chosen to seem that way. Kellen Vane is already at a corner table when Rafael arrives. There is a manila folder. There is a cashier's check. There is a cup of coffee he ordered for Rafael, which is the kind of calculated warmth that means the opposite of warmth. "Sit down," Kellen says. "Let me save you some time." The offer is generous by the numbers. Clean exit, sealed record, a letter of reference, and enough money to cover the medical debt. All Rafael has to do is sign an NDA, confirm that he accessed Sabine's office on his own initiative, and stop showing up. "What happens to her?" Rafael says. Kellen tilts his head. "She's a big girl." "What happens to her?" Kellen's expression shifts. The friendly wrapper peels. "She gets managed. She's been too much trouble for too long. The board needs someone who understands the structure. She doesn't." Rafael looks at the check. He looks at the folder. "I've buried one person," he says quietly. "I'm not burying the truth too." He stands. "That's a mistake," Kellen says. "So was setting a trap for a man with nothing to lose." He is already recording, has been since he sat down. The phone is in his breast pocket, audio running, and every word Kellen said about the board, about Sabine, about the payout, all of it. He calls Sabine from the parking lot before he reaches his car. She picks up on the first ring. "I'm not doing this because you're powerful," he says. "I'm doing it because what they're doing is wrong." 3 days later, the boardroom. Kellen presents his case with slide decks and security stills, and a narrative built from access logs, camera timestamps, and the parking lot photo of Sabine and Rafael and Mina. He uses words like judgment and exposure and risk, and the board listens the way boards listen when they want a reason. Then Sabine stands. She admits the sleep test, out loud. To the board, to legal counsel, to the 2 investors seated in the back row. She describes exactly what she did, why she did it, and why it was wrong to treat a man's character as a variable in a controlled experiment. The board smells blood. A motion is drafted. Removal for cause. The vote is called for the following morning. Sabine looks at Rafael across the room. He has his hand in his jacket pocket, touching the stopped watch. He looks at the board. "You want the truth?" he says. "Okay." He pauses. "But you're not going to like who it points to." The recording plays. Kellen Vane's voice fills the boardroom. The offer, the amount, the instructions, the 3 words that end his career. She gets managed. Then Sabine's team presents the audit trail. The spoofed tickets, the blind spot window, manually disabled, internal access, Kellen's credentials, the duplicate keycard tied to a vendor account that routes payments off-book to a shell entity the COO created 18 months ago. Kellen used Rafael's access log as cover because Rafael was new, low-level, and, in the calculation of men like Kellen, disposable. The same investors who watched Kellen humiliate a janitor in the lobby now watch him explain himself to a room that has stopped believing him. He tries denial, then deflection. Then, and this is the moment, he says, voice rising, "I was protecting the investors. Someone had to make the hard calls while she was playing social worker with the cleaning crew." The board chair holds up a hand. It is over. Kellen is escorted out by the same security team he used to run. The board votes. The policy changes. 3 board members file for recusal, pending their own review. Sabine keeps her role. She keeps it at cost, a cost she chose, and she walks out of that room with less political capital and more of herself than she has had in years. The arrangement ends that afternoon. Rafael resigns from the executive night integrity monitor role in a single paragraph. Professional, clean, no drama. He returns to his regular contracted floor schedule. He does not hear from Sabine for 9 days. He counts them the way he counts things he is not supposed to count. On the 10th day, he is in his kitchen at 7 a.m. Mina is at the table, working on a new bridge. Wider, more complex, the spans triangulated now. She has been studying load distribution from a library book she carries everywhere. A knock at the door. Mina gets there first. She opens it and looks up. Sabine Calder is standing on Rafael Kincaid's front step, in a plain grey coat and flat shoes with her hair down. No armour, no car service visible. She looks like a person who walked here because she wanted to be someone who walks places. "Hi," she says to Mina. Mina looks at her for a long moment with the structural assessment of a 7-year-old engineer. Then she steps aside. Rafael appears behind Mina. He looks at Sabine. He says nothing because there is nothing small enough to say, and everything large enough is too large for a doorway. Sabine doesn't do it with elegance. She hasn't rehearsed, or if she has, she's abandoned it. "No tests," she says. "No traps, no arrangement, no role, no reason for you to trust me." She breathes. "Just me, asking if there's room." Mina slides past her father's leg and holds out a small object, a craft stick bridge, 2 inches long, bound at the joints with red string, the knot done properly. "This one holds," Mina tells Sabine. "I checked." Sabine takes it. Her hands are still. She looks at it for a long time. Rafael leans against the doorframe. "So," he says, and there is the ghost of that dry, almost smile. "Am I supposed to wake you if you fall asleep again?" Sabine looks up, and she smiles. Not the CEO smile, not the boardroom smile. The one that escaped in the charity hall on a Thursday night when he said something true and she laughed at the wrong moment. "Maybe," she says, "but not tonight." She steps inside. Outside, Chicago keeps going. The lake wind pressing against the windows, the city loud and indifferent and enormous. Inside, a 7-year-old explains load-bearing theory to a CEO who is, for the first time in years, genuinely interested in learning how something holds. Rafael puts his hand in his pocket, finds the stopped watch. "Come back, gentle." He stands in his own kitchen, in his own life, and thinks, for the first time since the hospital, since the helicopter, since the mailbox full of debt, and the cracked phone, and the careful existence he has built around the fact that he is all Mina has, that maybe clean doesn't mean safe, but safe can be built. Subscribe if you believe decency should never be a disadvantage.